Hey guys, this is CK at CK Education, and today I want to talk about a very important problem, shall we say, that a lot of parents experience, and they just can't seem to figure out why this happens and how to remedy this problem. And this is a problem of unmotivated kids. So you don't know how many times I've heard, like, I don't know why my high school kid is so unmotivated. He or she was doing so fine in elementary school, they were doing great. And I always think, well, it's easy to do well in elementary school. That's not a big deal. And that's why when I hear parents of very young kids like, oh, my kids are doing so well in elementary school, I always think to myself, wait till high school. It's a different thing. It's not hard to do well in elementary school, okay? And it's sometimes not even hard to do so well in middle school. But in high school, things change, and they often change for a lot of kids. So you don't know how many cases I've seen where, oh, my kid was getting straight A's. They've never had any problems academically. They were managing their time well. Everything was going well up to 8th grade. And then after middle school, boom, 9th grade hits, and they're just flailing. And then they're behind, they're not doing well. And sometimes they just get unmotivated. And so I would say that when kids are in high school, like that age, up to high school primarily, once in college, they sort of venture out on their own. But up to high school, whatever problems that your kids are having, and I'm very sorry to say it this way, but I absolutely believe it with all my heart. Whatever problems your kids are having, it is primarily caused by you, the parent, okay? I just sometimes, I've talked to literally hundreds of parents over the last 20, 25 years working with teenagers. And I can tell you that some of them have no clue that they caused this. But it starts very early. Let me just give you a very simple example, okay? So, where you know, in the state of Maryland here, there's a lot of counties, and especially like in Montgomery County, Howard County, it's very education centered, very education focused. A lot of parents are very eager and very sometimes obsessed with making sure their kids get a good education and making sure that, you know, they take high level classes and challenging, rigorous, coursework, and they go to the best colleges, and they're very focused on education. Nothing wrong per se in that. But in that pursuit, I think a lot of parents make the mistake of overstepping their bounds and going a little bit too far, and this demotivates their kids. So for example, you go to the library, and I've heard this countless times. So the little kid, there's like a 8-year-old or maybe a 7-year-old, maybe even a 10-year-old or something. They're at the public library, and they pick out some books. So the mom goes and says, oh, go pick out some books you want to read. So they come back and they got a bunch of books. The mom looks at the books and says, you're going to read these books? I mean, this is a graphic novel. This is too short. This is, below your age group. This is that. And she goes on and says, let me pick some books out for you. And she goes and grabs 5 books that she finds. They're really thick. They have no pictures. They're boring to the kid. The kid doesn't want to read them. And the kid's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to. Yeah, why don't you get these books? And then after you read these books, then you can read the books that you want to read. And the kid's like, no, I don't know. I don't really want to read those books. You just demotivated him. Okay? He was excited about reading. And he loved reading until you made it not fun anymore. Okay, here's another example. So there was this is a true story. One of my students loved a certain subject, and when he was a little kid, when he was maybe in elementary school, just loved the subject. And I forgot exactly what it was, but it was something in the sciences. He really loved it. And so what did his parents do? They went out, didn't ask him, didn't say anything, went out and bought like 10 books on the subject and brought it to his room and said, here are 10 books on the subject, go ahead and read up on them. And he looked at these books, they were so long, they were boring, and it just turned them off. He didn't want to read it anymore. There's a fine line between supporting and pushing. Kids love to be supported, but they don't like to be pushed. And there is a fine line. And look, parents, as much as you think that you know your kid, and as much as you think that, well, my parents did that to me and I was fine, you grew up in a different culture, you grew up in a different era, in a different time with different parents. It was different. Me growing up when I was little, that's not the same as my kids growing up. Yes, it was tougher. We were tougher. We had more things that were said to us that were done. And we just, we got through those things. Kids today would say, oh, it's so, my feelings are so hurt, and they seem weaker. Yes, I think a lot of parents would agree with that. Okay, I understand that. But that doesn't mean that just because I went through it and just because I toughed it out, my kids should be able to tough it out. Sometimes they can't. They don't live in that culture. They don't live in that. It's different. And so what I'm saying is, now, even if they could tough it out, it doesn't mean that that was necessarily the right way to do it, And so I think the right way, regardless of what era or what time or what generation, it's important to involve your kids in the things that they want to do. You got to make them feel like they're pulling. What do you think about this book? Yeah, I don't know. I really don't like that book. All right, that's cool. Why don't you pick a book that you like? Now, let's say that book is not the kind of book that you want, that, it's not bad or anything, but you're like, man, I wish they got a book with more words or longer book. But let them read the book. It's more important that they have fun reading. They learn that reading is a lifelong endeavor, and they continue to do it. They love doing it. They love doing it, And then eventually, as they get older, they'll love to read. You don't take away the fun of reading, is what I'm saying. Don't take away the fun of learning, okay? And so, for example, here's another thing that parents do. And they'll say, oh yeah, we go on family trips. And I say, oh yeah, where'd you guys go? Did you have fun? And the kids and the parents will say, oh yeah, we had a lot of fun. Hey, so you ask the kid, did you have fun? I don't know, not really. Don't say that in private. In front of the parents, maybe they'll say, yeah, it was pretty good. You ask them in private, I don't know. Where'd you guys go? Oh, we went on a family vacation. Like, where'd you go? Oh, we went on some college tours. Okay, a college tour may excite you as a parent, but the child may not find that really, really fun. I'm not saying no kids do. I'm saying generally, if you go on one trip a year and you're going to put college tours in there, for the kid, maybe that ain't so fun. So maybe that's why you think that, I don't know why, they used to like going to places with us, because you just go to fun places, okay? So it's very important that you stay in tune to what your child is feeling, what they're thinking, and it's very important to know them well. That will help you to see what turns them off, what turns them on, what excites them, what bores them, and you got to work with them. You can't just push stuff and expect them to do it. Everybody's doing it, so you got to do it. Now, it's not to say that some things you got to teach your kids, look, I know it's not fun, but you just got to get through it. I know you don't like doing homework, but you got to do the homework, okay? But, you got to have them regularly, frequently also reward them, and they have to learn to reward themselves. If you do this, then you do something fun. You got to have that. You can't have that go on too long, or else they just get demotivated. So why is my kid not motivated? You have to look inside of you, mom, dad. There's something that you did probably that demotivated them at some point. And I think it's worth just taking a very honest approach and just asking your kid, I'm really concerned. You used to be so used to love reading, and I'm just, concerned, like, how come you hate reading now? Or you used to love school, and why is it not like that anymore? Now, it's not always a parent's fault. Sometimes they may be, being bullied at school, and you have no idea that this is happening. And there could be some other things like that, okay? So I'm not saying it's 100%. But by and large, if this has been going on for years, is probably parent-induced, okay? It's probably something the parent did. So I'm just saying, as a fellow parent, you got to talk to your kids. You got to be honest with them. You got to see what's going on. You got to ask them, what's going on? Is this something that I did? And it's okay. I'm not going to yell at you or anything. Can you tell me? Because I want to change. I want to be a good parent. I want to be a good daddy. I want to be a good mom. But I really like to know how you feel. This kind of conversation is sometimes difficult if you haven't been having that kind of conversation, okay? Your kid is now 17, you're like, yeah, I haven't had that kind of conversation in 10 years. Then it's going to be hard. But that's why it's important that you never leave that. You always got to communicate. You always got to be communicating with them and talking to them. Not talking just at them, but talking with them. Really wanting to know how they feel. A lot of times I think kids I've heard so many times say, well, I don't even bother bringing it up with my parents. Why not? Well, don't just tell me to go study, or, why do you feel like that? Or, don't discount what they say. Even though you might think it's ridiculous, even though you might think, man, when I was young, I went through something 10 times worse than that, and I got through it, and I didn't tell my parents. Don't compare yourself to how they're feeling. Just try to understand them. All right, take yourself out of the picture and just try to understand them as a person. Just say, oh, I didn't, and how does that make you feel? And just try to understand that in the kids seeing that you are trying to understand, I think they'll open up, and then you might find why they're really demotivated, and maybe you can work together so they can be motivated again. So this is very, very difficult. As a teacher, I work with students, and when they're demotivated, oh, it's hard. It's hard because I can't change the parents. I can't say, I wish I could turn a switch and, have the parents behave or talk or be a certain way so that the kid doesn't feel this way. But the kid feels this way and then comes to me, and then the parents expect that somehow magically I'm going to motivate them, okay? My job is not to demotivate them anymore. And it's hard enough just working with unmotivated kids and trying to get them up there, But the problem is I only see my students, 1.5 hours a week. The rest of the time they're with you. And so you have to do your part. If your kids seem unmotivated, why is it? Have a real conversation with them and open up yourself, and they will open up themselves. And I think that will go a long ways in doing that. Okay, so I apologize if there's not a 1, 2, 3 method, okay, something like that. In relationships, sometimes there's no clear-cut, 3-step method to solving these things. It's complicated. It takes heart. It takes grace, and it takes a humble heart, even as a parent, and just to talk to your kid and to do that. So if your kid is unmotivated, I hope you'll do that and see, maybe was there something that I did, because most of the time it is us parents who do that to our kids. So unfortunately, but I'm not trying to blame you or I'm just saying this is reality, and we all as parents have to look at ourselves and be honest. So I hope that helps in having a better relationship with your kid. I hope that helps in helping your kid open up and become more motivated. That's the goal here, not to put blame on someone, make you feel bad. I hope you understand that. But anyway, thanks for listening and thanks for watching up to this point. And until my next video, I hope you stay well.